today I wanted to talk to you about navigating your calories when you need to go out to eat, whether that be breakfast, lunch, dinner, family occasions. There are lots of things pop up that are going to potentially derail us as we go along with our fat loss journey. Now, there are lots of ways that we can tackle eating out, and what we just need to bear in mind that there's going to be a lot more calories on offer when we put ourselves in this situation. But of course, we need to live life, and I don't want you sitting at home twiddling your thumbs, not being social while you're on a fat loss journey. Now, research suggests that when we go out for dinner or lunch, the average meal out costs us over 1,000 calories, which is a lot. We know that when we're trying to create a 500 calorie deficit a day, we could quickly erode that if we're not too careful on a dinner out with friends or lunch with the family. So we want to try and protect those calories as much as we can. All right, so let's talk about what we should try and choose when we go out for breakfast, lunch or dinner. And we want to look at these for, I guess, two reasons. One is we want it to be easy to track, because as it is, we're guessing. And number two, we want to try and choose the lower calorie options on the menu because they're probably all going to be pretty high. When it comes to breakfast, we want to try and stick away from anything that's fried and anything that's got really high calorie sources like an Eggs Benedict, unless you're going to have that on the side. You're better off choosing something like poached eggs and toast with a side of vegetables. Bacon and eggs would be okay. Factor in obviously the toast, 250 calories, in the bread alone. Just bear in mind that when you're trying to track things like scrambled eggs, and if it's a cafe scrambled eggs, they're probably have added lots and lots of butter, probably some cream. So your scrambled eggs at home are not going to be the same as the scrambled eggs at the cafe. But if you went for something like poached eggs and spinach, kind of maybe sounds boring, but it's going to be a lot easier to track than some higher calorie meals. Also think about your coffees when you're eating out. The average latte with full cream milk is going to cost you around 100, 120 calories, whereas your skinny latte might cost you 60 or 70 calories. A cup of tea or a black coffee, obviously barely anything, so you could just I wouldn't even log that. When we're considering lunch, soups and salads are obviously at the lighter end. Higher calorie meals like a focaccia, really thick bread, anything kind of pesto based is going to be quite high in calories. But also something to consider, salads are a great option, but make sure that you try and get the dressing on the side so that you decide how many calories you're eating, not the chef. When it comes to eating out for dinner, I always like going to a pub. Pub is a great option. Something like, again, try and stay away from your fried options, schnitzel, parmigiana, creamy sauces in pasta. You probably want to stay away from. Everybody loves pizza. A pizza's probably going to cost you at least 1,000, 1,200 calories, and the problem with that is just very little nutrition in that. Whereas if we choose something like a steak, we know we're going to get our nutrition, we know we're going to get our protein, and if we say on the menu it's a 250 gram rump, that's relatively easy to track as well. If you're going to have the fries with that, you're probably still going to rack up 1,000 calories, and that's okay. I sometimes opt for double the salad or veggies and try and skip the fries. Something to consider though is that when we go out for dinner, the chef doesn't care how many calories that meal is going to be. The chef just wants it to taste good so that you keep coming back. So when you're tracking these meals, or at least estimating how many calories you think you've eaten, take a bit of a guess, break down the meal if it's various kind of foods on a plate. Break it down to try and track it as best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then add 20 or 25%. because that's more likely going to be closer to the calories that you've eaten than what you're originally estimating, because they use so much oil, butter, ghee for it to taste good. Even if they're cooking steak, they'll be, pouring the melted butter on top. It's going to taste great, but there's a reason that it tastes so good. Now, let's say you're just going out to a food court, or you're getting some takeaway like Macca's or KFC or even Subway. Their nutritional information is often on their websites, or actually when you're ordering, they're on the menus, so it's relatively easy to track. Let's say I'm on the road and I'm going to McDonald's for breakfast. I want to choose a bacon and egg McMuffin, then I can of course customize that. So I might add another egg for extra protein. I might ditch the butter because I don't need that. I want to try and have it a little bit lower calories, so I can customize my breakfast. But like I said, the nutritional value on most of those dishes are on their menus, and it's quite easy to track and choose what you want that's going to fit in with the calories that you've got or that you've planned. Now, here's another way that you might like to consider managing your calories on a meal out. Let's say, for example, you don't want to worry about the calories. You just kind of want to go out and have a good time, but you still want to allow for those calories at night. So let's say, for example, I'm going to the pub. I know that I'm going to have steak, and I absolutely want to have chips, and I absolutely want to have a glass of red wine as well. I know that dinner's going to at least cost me 1,200 calories. So what I might factor in that day is just eating less for breakfast and less for lunch, so that I save enough calories for dinner. So I might have a protein shake for breakfast, I might have chicken and salad for lunch, and then I've got plenty of calories left for dinner. The other option is to calorie cycle through the week, where I might have, let's say I'm going out for dinner on a Thursday, I have a few less calories Tuesday and Wednesday, and I bank some calories to have an extra few calories for that lunch or for that dinner that I'm going out for. Of course, the other way to do it is to not worry about calories at all and kind of give it a bit of a guess to track, and you might find that you will go over your calories if you're eating out and you haven't factored it in, which is okay, but just bear in mind that you're eroding some of that deficit that you will have created earlier in the week, and you won't see the same amount of fat loss that you were expecting or that you were planning on doing. Now, that is completely fine. What that means is that your weight loss is just going to take a little bit longer. Now, if you keep doing that, obviously that's going to end up being a little bit frustrating for you, because your weight loss journey will take longer. And it's going to mean making some changes and sacrificing here and there to get to our goals. That includes making better choices when we go out and lower calorie options, drinking a little bit less, if any, and we know that, for example, cocktails are through the roof in calories, but there are some better drink options too. And lastly, navigating that family get-together or that party where there's just constant food around us for the entire day or for the entire night, or we're going over to our parents' house and they're always putting food in front of us. This can be one of the most difficult situations to navigate, because often when we find ourselves picking at food constantly, 75 calories there, 100 calories there, it is easy to rack up, again, 1,000, 1,500 calories if we're mindlessly eating, particularly that party food that tends to be pretty high in calories. So, a couple of things to consider here. Number one, make sure when you get there, you're not hungry. This is a big one. That might be making sure you've had lunch before you go, making sure you've hit your protein, at least half of your daily protein before you get there, having a protein shake before you get there. Really important that you don't rock up hungry. Number two is taking some of your own foods. Now, this might seem a little bit ridiculous and you might go, really? But you're responsible for your health. Nobody else is. And sometimes this is not a bad option. You take a plate of food that you're gonna want to eat. You can offer it out to everybody, but that's a plate that you kind of eat from. Now, that always isn't always going to be an option if you're going to somebody else's house. But Here are a couple of things that you can put into place that could help. Number one, have some rules before you go. Have some bright lines. And that bright line might be having one plate of food. So you put the food on that plate that you're going to want to eat and enough for that meal, and then you don't go back. You've got enough for that meal. And that's gonna save you from picking all afternoon or all evening. Another great strategy is making sure you're not sitting down in front of the food. If you're sitting right in front of a plate of sandwiches or a plate of party pies, for sure you're just going to mindlessly consume all of that delicious food without really thinking about it. So make sure you're not setting yourself up for failure in that sense. Set yourself up for success. Go and chat with someone away from the food so that you're not constantly thinking about it and it's not right in front of you. Keep yourself busy. Drink water, drink Coke Zero, snack on fruit and veg and a little bit of hummus. Make good choices. The last thing that you want to do is get home and just be really, I guess, disappointed in yourself because you didn't stick to that original plan. But it's really going to help if you set yourself up for success and plan ahead with a strategy in place rather than just going in there blind, kind of without a plan. So I hope that helps. Just remember, you are in control. This is your health journey, nobody else's, and it's your responsibility to make sure that you're eating the foods that you want to eat, that helps you stick to your goals and that are nutritious and filling, and that boat is really loud. There are always going to be things that come up, whether it's family birthdays, anniversaries. Obviously we've got Easter and Christmas and New Year. We're always celebrating something, and often we celebrate it with food. Now, during your fat loss journey, it's going to make sense that you, I guess, be a little bit strategic and prioritize those instances where it's okay to eat a little bit more than you ordinarily would. But if you're trying to navigate around all of these events, it's going to be really difficult to do, I guess, if you're not really, I guess if you're still wanting to celebrate these and eat as much as you like and what you like, you're going to find your weight loss either plateau or just take a lot longer than you want it to. So choose those times where you do want to celebrate and you don't want to have to either track calories or you do want to eat a little bit more. Make those decisions ahead. If you're working with me, I'll be asking you as the weeks go on, do you have something on this week that we have to navigate around? And we should be able to often plan a month in advance sometimes. And that's going to also help with calorie cycling. Of course, if you've got any questions, you can always get in touch at any time. The biggest thing around eating out is to not stress out. We don't ever want you to get into a kind of a state of panic because you're going out to eat and you don't know what to eat or how to eat. But hopefully this guide gives you, some strategies to consider and to think about. The biggest thing is to plan it in advance so you're kind of not startled when you get there.